George Hoyda. Evergreen/Lyceum. March 9, 2010. Picking Cotton/Critical Analysis. If I only used one word to describe the feeling I experienced when reading this book, the word would be frustration. I can relate somewhat to Ronald Cotton as far as being unjustly imprisoned. However, for me there is no closure. Picking Cotton is a book that exposes racial tension in our society and how it also affects our justice system here in America. When Jennifer Thompson is raped in her own home by a black man, Poole, and makes a narrow escape from the attack, she later gives the police a description of her attacker and mistakenly picks Ronald Cotton as the perpetrator of the crime. As a result, Ronald Cotton receives a life sentence in prison and loses 11 years of his life for a crime that he did not commit until DNA evidence clears him of the crime. Thus, the book Picking Cotton is a book about two victims of one man's cowardly crime. I find it interesting how the justice system had Ronald Cotton convicted in their minds before the trial had even been set. In the book, Cotton states that the sheriff had said to him, "You think you're hot stuff screwing all these white women? Well, we have you now." The attitude of the sheriff reminded me of the harsh sentence given to Malcolm Little, later known as Malcolm X, where he states they were given a hard time mainly for their association with white women. They also went into how the Justice Department tried to coerce the women into claiming they'd been raped in order to further prosecute Malcolm even though they knew better. It just shows how quick the American justice system is to throw a black man under the bus. I was offended by the stance of Jennifer Thompson when she found out she made a mistake. He wasn't a choir boy, I probably did him a favor. She states, he gets 3 meals a day, and probably would have been in there anyway. The sad reality of her words is that it rings and stings with truth. With the underemployment of black males in America, Cotton may have fallen into any number of the traps in the ghetto that most black men find themselves wrapped up in: drugs, gangs, robbery, etc. The book itself is an easy read that ping-pongs back and forth between the two victims, Ronald Cotton and Jennifer Thompson. In the end, the two become close friends and crusaders in the fight for exonerating innocent men convicted for crimes they didn't commit. Picking Cotton/War Notes. I was completely disgusted by the presence of the Tacoma sheriff at Evergreen. The man had the nerve to stand up and quote Martin Luther King as if he lives by his philosophy. It made me so nauseous, I had to leave the room before I screamed out something that would have gotten me in trouble. The police are the number one enemy of young black males, innocent or guilty. It's not about justice, it is about oppression and keeping a nigga in his place. If Ronald Cotton and every student who applauded for that pig sheriff can't see that, then they are blind to the level of their own oppression. Why are we as black people so quick to forgive others who trespass against us and yet are so quick to kill each other for wrongdoings even if only imagined? It has to be the result of conditioning and a slave mentality. Ronald Cotton may be able to forgive and go on with his life, but my fight and his fight are obviously not the same. Ronald Cotton was a case of mistaken identity. In my case, I represented something the racist system hates most: black man progress, aka the uppity Negro. I wasn't hanging in the streets and I have no criminal record. For a matter of fact, I was a college student with a promising local access television show. They destroyed my life. Maybe Cotton is a better man than me, or maybe he doesn't have the sense to be angry. I myself can't let it go. Jennifer Thompson describes the venom she felt for the rape she endured. Imagine the cops attempting to rape you, charging you for fighting back, beating you to a pulp till you beg for your life, publicly, then lock you up in solitary confinement and drop all charges with prejudice so you never will know justice. I can relate to Thompson's venom. It runs through my veins so cold a million demons couldn't stir it. Unlike Cotton and Thompson, who have found peace and closure, I can never go back. All my talents and skills have to be honed to tear down this racist system. I'm not interested in much else.
What's happened, officer? Well, little Bo Peep here has lost her sheep and she doesn't know where to find them. Look, if you just leave them alone, I'm sure they'll come home, wagging their tails behind them.
Everybody in the business is a criminal. And how can you ever trust a criminal?